How you doing, pre-algebra? We've reached the second section of chapter 2, and we're dealing with adding integers. The following terminology, opposites and additive inverse, you guys have heard of and seen this before, but let's just talk about it specifically. So when we're looking at opposites, we're talking about two numbers with the same absolute value but different signs. So that would mean that -3 and 3 are considered opposites. -4 and 4, 5/3, and -5/3 are all opposites. Additive inverses are integer, is its integer and its opposite. And we remember from class, then we were looking at properties, we talked about additive inverses. If I have a plus the opposite of a, pardon me, that's equal to 0. And we can see with these opposite pairs that's true. So additive inverse is an integer and its opposite. And specifically, the sum of the additive inverse, sorry, I didn't say this last part, the sum of the additive inverses is always 0. Hence the identity property that we have here, the additive inverse property that we have here. Your text has us looking at examples that require us to use a number line to add such things together. We're not going to do that typically, but I'll quickly jot down a number line here so that we can actually kind of figure out how to do this if we need to. I hope that you guys know at this point that the answer to this is -6, but let's see how we can use the number line to do so. So first we add to 0 -1, and then we're going to add -5, which means to go back in this direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and here we land on -6. So you definitely can use a number line to do this, but we're going to talk about rules of adding negative and positive integers in a moment. It's really to get these rules straight. So in example 2, we're going to talk specifically about adding integers with exactly the same sign. So in this case, I'm adding a negative and a negative, and then below I'm adding a positive and a positive. So here's the rule. When adding integers with the same sign, this is for same sign, just add and keep the sign the same. So we're going to just add, and our answer is going to continue to have the same sign as the other two numbers. So since both of these are negative, my answer is negative. This is only when adding integers, by the way. Both negative, my answer is negative. 6 plus 3 is 9. My answer is -9. Both of these are positive. I'm just going to add them. 2 plus 4 is 8, and my answer will remain positive. It is okay if I write a plus sign here, but the plus sign is unnecessary. Here in example 3, we're going to take a look at adding integers with different signs. So here's the rule that I like to follow with that. When adding numbers with different signs, we will subtract the numbers and then take the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. Sounds a little gobbledygook, but that last little line, I would usually say in kind of an offhanded, non-super mathematical way, we take the sign of the bigger number or the bigger looking number. The reason why we say the number with the highest absolute value, it takes care of the concept of the bigger looking number. Let's take a look at this first example here. So as I look at 12 plus a -16, the bigger looking number, or the number with the highest absolute value, is 16. Therefore, my answer will be negative. In a case where the signs are different, I'm going to subtract. So 16 minus 12 is going to give me 4. So the answer to this is -4. Let's take a look at this next guy. -7 plus 5. The number with the greatest absolute value is 7. Therefore, my answer is negative, which at this point, I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 5 gives me 2, so I get a -2. Can you try this one on your own? Pause me and see what you get. Hopefully you got a -16. The larger looking number, or the number with the largest absolute value, is that 20. Therefore, the answer is going to be negative, just like the 20. And I subtract. Again, the signs are different. Subtracting using, sorry about that, that was just crazy writing. 8 plus a -13. Answer is going to be negative here again. Didn't realize I made all the answers negative when I did this. Answer is going to be negative. I'm going to subtract 13 minus 8, and my answer would be negative 5. Let me just do this for kicks and giggles, just so you see it's not always the same way. Let's say I had a negative 2 plus a 3. 3 is the number with the larger absolute value, therefore my answer is going to be positive, and I'm going to subtract, and my answer is 1. All right, I think you guys know this, but just in case you don't, use this as a guide. Sometimes we can have real world word problems that give us some good opportunities to exercise our negative and positive adding skills. So let's check it out. A whale is currently at a depth of 275 feet below the surface of the water. After 10 minutes, she rose up 194 feet. What is the current depth of the whale? So let's see how we could do this. That 275 seems like a great place for us to put a negative 275, and the reason why is because we're below the surface of the water. And then we're going to rise 194 feet, 194 feet. So when I'm adding these two numbers up, I'm going to see that the answer's still negative, the whale is still underwater, but the whale has risen, and we'll see that the whale has risen up to a depth of 81 feet, or negative 81. So the depth is now 81, and so we use negative because the whale is underwater. In our last and final example, we get to see the opportunity to add more than one or more than pairs of numbers, so we're adding several numbers together. Still addition, we're still going to follow the same rules. So if I look at this first one, when I add up this negative 6 and a negative 15, I remember same sign, the answer is going to keep the same sign. I'm just going to add. So this becomes a negative 21. And now I'm going to continue plus 6. Different signs here, so my answer is going to take the sign of the higher number, higher looking number. My answer is going to be a negative 15. Another way of looking at this, by the way, is if you guys remember the commutative property, we could have written this as 6 plus negative 6, because the commutative property gives me the opportunity to move stuff around, right? So 6 plus negative 6, and then when I add these guys together, they are additive inverses. Look at all the stuff we know coming together. So they're additive inverses. I get a 0 plus a negative 15, and then the answer is a little bit easier to come by, but it's all good. Same thing. I'm going to take these pair by pair. So 7 plus a negative 1. I'm looking at example B. 7 plus negative 1 gives me a positive 6. Think about it. Subtract the two numbers. Take the sign of the higher. Plus 26 plus a negative 13. So I'm going to take that 6 and 26. When I add up 6 and 26, I get 32. So this becomes 32 plus a negative 13. Here the signs are different. I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the higher looking number. The number 32 is positive, and so that's going to be a positive 19. Finally, let's go ahead. 4 plus a negative 2. We're down at example C. 4 plus negative 2 is going to give me a positive 2, right? And then I'm going to add a negative 7 to that, and since 7 is larger, the signs are different, I'm going to get a negative 5 as my answer. So that's our final example. All right, friends, here's our homework, or not homework, our assignment, pages 72 to 73, and the problems are as follows. Remember, in your packet, we already have it written down, but just so you know, your assignment is as follows. Have a great one.